Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my weekly LinkedIn Live, where I share with you insights on how you can make that next step in your career into a senior leadership role, or if you're already in a senior leadership role, what you can do to succeed and bring more impact in that role. So today I'm sharing one of the top challenges individuals face in senior leadership roles and how to overcome this challenge so that you're not all things to all people, which is preventing you from having more impact in your role. So again, as I said, you could have just stepped into a senior leadership role and you're trying to navigate your way to bring the most impact and influence and meet the expectations that people have of you. Or maybe you have been in a senior leadership role for a while and you are finding you are all things to all people, which can be overwhelming and can be really difficult for you to get the focus on the areas where you really need to be spending your time. Okay. And as I describe it, when we're in this dilemma and we're in a place where we are feeling that we're all things to all people, it's because people see a lot of value in what we have to offer because you have a lot of experience. And that's what we want to tailor to understanding what is the value that you need to focus on. You don't want to be an a la carte menu, right? And what I mean by that is you have a lot of experience. A lot of people can see that you can provide a lot of value in a lot of different places, but that's not why you're in your role, okay? You're in your role for a specific reason. And I'm going to kind of share with you some of the things that you need to focus on today. I'm going to be talking to you about what it really means and what is expected of you at a higher level as a senior leader. But what happens when we get distracted by others, and what is the solution to that? What can we start doing differently to re-navigate ourselves back and recalibrate back into a place where we can bring the most impact and influence? So by way of introduction, my name is Anne Caulfield. I am an accredited executive and leadership coach working with senior leaders within organizations and independent of organizations and helping those individuals to progress and succeed in senior leadership roles and building more influence and impact and progressing from being technically competent into more senior leadership and into senior leadership roles in their organizations. Because there is a different mindset and approach required when you take a step up to that senior leadership level, to that senior leadership role. And unfortunately, many underestimate this step, and it's where many struggle to move seamlessly into a senior leadership role. But that's what I'm here to help you to do. So today, as I said, I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be talking about that challenge of feeling that we're being all things to all people, which is preventing us from having the impact in our role that we really need to be having, which is why we're in that role. So one of the things here is that, when we step into, let's say, a new role, we want to impress people around us. We want to show our value. We want to demonstrate our value right off from the start. And unfortunately, for you, that can mean that people see you as having many different areas of expertise, which you probably do have from your career up to now, but you really need to be focused on where you're directing your value right now. It's not that you don't want to be helpful, of course you do, but you just need to be really focused on where you're going. So as a senior leader, just as a kind of really high level, the three of the top expectations of a senior leader are, first of all, one of the primary expectations is that you're to provide strategic vision and direction for the organization. That could be within your department, within your division, depending on what level you're at. But it really involves you setting longer term goals and defining an overall strategy and outlining a path to achieving those goals and objectives, right? So that is one of the things that you're expected to do as a senior leader. The other one is around decision making and problem solving, right? So senior leaders are expected to make critical decisions and solve complex problems that are going to impact the organization. And another one here, for example, of a senior leader responsibility would be to, of course, build a high-performing team, right? So what we want to do is we want to be able to build and create a culture of an environment where employees feel empowered, team members feel empowered and motivated, and really an environment that promotes collaboration and growth. So depending, of course, on your role, this is going to vary, but typically these ones stand no matter where or what type of a role you have in this as a senior leader. But the problem here that we have is that what happens is, unfortunately, we don't get to really step into that place fully for a number of different reasons, right? And what that does, it takes us away from being able to do our job really, really well. So what can happen is that, as I've already mentioned, we can be that a la carte menu where people see huge value in us on loads of different levels, which is great for them individually, but not overall for the organization. So when you're in a particular role, you have a particular remit where that you are responsible for, and it is your responsibility to make sure that you are bringing that value to your role and you're not getting distracted across a lot of different areas. So even though you might have, for example, you stepped into a new role in a new organization and or up the ranks in an organization, yes, there's many things you can do, but is that really what's required of you in this role? So there are ways of navigating your way into that role really well, while still, probably not being seen as not helpful, right? So there is a way to do that. But number one, you need to be aware of it, that there is a different set of expectations for you right now. And unfortunately, a lot of people get stuck in that place for a long time, right? So the thing here is what happens is we're everything to everyone, right? We are the helpful pair of hands. We are getting stuck in the weeds and not spending enough time, giving yourself the space for strategic thinking, for thinking strategically, creating the space to pull yourself out of the detail, pull yourself out of the weeds, so that you can think more strategically. So if you're stuck in the weeds, you don't have the space to actually think strategically. And that is what is expected of you by your peers and your leadership, but you're not there. Okay. So what happens there is, unfortunately, you're letting yourself down and you're letting others down who believed you were capable of so much more, who either promoted you into that position or who hired you into the organization. And you're not performing at that level because you want to keep everybody happy, right? Yes, you do know what you can do, but you're trying to do it for everyone, right? But the reason this happens is because you're not defining your value, right? So you're not defining your value at the next level where you have the greatest impact right now in that role, right? You really need to define what that impact is. Because when you're in this mode that I've just described, you're not able to be strategic. You're not going to have that clarity of mind, that scope to be able to think strategically, problem solving, decision making, all of these things that are needed of you. You're too much at that detail level. So you've either not made that transition up to that senior leadership role. There's many different reasons that can happen. But the problem here is that we need to, first of all, acknowledge it. That is actually what's happening to me. And then we need to figure out how we move you forward. And there is a way to get you into that next stage without feeling that, okay, now I just need to be not helpful anymore. That's not what you're going to do. It's how you approach it is going to be very, very different, right? So let me share with you some of the things you need to start thinking about when you want to really get into a space that, right, okay, I am now making more impact. I'm having more influence. I'm really, navigating my way and recalibrating myself in that step change into senior leader role. The first thing you need to do is deciding on where you're at your best, right? And where you want to grow and develop into the future. And of course, that's combining your strengths and your areas of interest, right? So you need to decide, like, what is that? Where is that? And that should ideally match to the role you're either going to be applying for, going for, or the role you're in right now. Where can you provide the best value? Where you feel most confident, competent, you enjoy the most, and you really, really are interested in growing more into that space. And that kind of leads on to what you want to be known for. So what do you want to be known for in that space? And then what you're doing is you need to now understand, well, how am I going to articulate my value? So you need to understand, how are you articulating this value to others so that you're building your career as an expert in this space, not an a la carte menu, right? So you're building your expertise in this space. You're being seen as an expert in this space. You're the go-to person in this space, right? You're not everything to everyone anymore. Of course, you can do lots of other things like most people can, but this is your zone, right? So it's really about getting into that zone, right? And I can appreciate people struggle to get to define that, to be able to articulate that, to be able to, zone out the noise. But there is a way to do that. And I've proven it time and time again with individuals that I work with, quite quickly how we can move you into a space of getting into that zone. And what it does, it's a feeling of there's a massive weight lifted off your shoulders. Because when you're in a place where you're trying to be all things to all people, you want to be helpful, you want to share your value, you have to answer to certain questions, you're carrying a huge weight on your shoulders, because now you're carrying the responsibility of all of that, plus what you're actually meant to be doing, okay? What you're meant to be doing at the next level in the organization. And more than likely, if you're doing all that, you're not really ticking all the boxes, right? So you're not really stepping up to what your senior leaders and your peers want from you in that senior leadership role, right? So that's really, really important. So you're articulating that value. But also what you want to start doing is you want to start increasing your visibility by choosing to be part of the right conversations, not every conversation. Really, really important. And you're building relationships and advocates where you can bring the most value and impact, and also building mutually valuable relationships, supporting the achievement of common goals. And getting that right is really, really important. And therefore, what you're doing is you're moving your energy towards where you need to increase your impact. So if anything I've shared with you there is resonating with you and you're like, oh my God, absolutely, that's the place I'm in, that's where I'm getting stuck, that's why I'm feeling overwhelmed, like there is a way beyond this. First of all, you can't continue like that. And if you don't want to get burnt out, you can't continue like that if you don't want to feel that you're keeping the leadership in your organization or your peers, not really giving them what they really need from you, the value that they really want from you. But there is a way to move past it in a way that's going to take that weight off your shoulders and let you focus on where you're at your best and not feel like you're leaving other people down by not being everywhere and being everything to everyone. Okay, so if what I've shared with you today is resonating with you at some level around the challenges that you're facing, either as you transition into a senior leadership role or you're already in a senior leadership role for a while, and you really want to get clarity on how you can make more, bring more influence and impact, I would love to offer you a 30-minute complimentary consultation with me where we can define a plan for you to overcome those challenges, and how I can support you to make that happen as well. So I hope you found this beneficial and it gave you some clarity of mind as we come into the end of this week to think about, first of all, becoming aware, maybe, am I actually doing this? And the fact that you do need to start changing how you're doing what you're doing if you want to create more impact and if you want to get the results that's expected of you and that you want for yourself, so that you feel more accomplished, you feel more fulfilled, and all the rest that comes with that. Or maybe you absolutely already know you're in this space, but you're not really sure how to navigate your way out of it. Because of now, you've got yourself into a situation where this is what people expect of you now. Being all things to all people, that's a perception people have of you, and you're finding it difficult to move beyond that. But I just want to tell you, there absolutely is a way to move out of that. And I've proven this time and time again with so many individuals to make this happen. So again, if you find this helpful, share it with somebody else that might find it useful as well. Maybe just trigger something in your mind or their minds that they think they need to start doing differently. But again, if you'd like to, I'll put a link in the comments so you can book a 30-minute complimentary consultation with me where I will share with you some ideas on how you can overcome these challenges and put a plan in place to move forward. So thank you so much for listening to me today. And thank you so much for all of your feedback on the value you're getting from these LinkedIn Lives. And also, I know you're, of course, sharing different topics you'd like me to speak about. So if there's anything you'd like me to speak about in these LinkedIn Lives, drop me a message. And if it's a topic that I certainly is in my space, I will come on here and I will put it down for a LinkedIn Live over the next few weeks. So take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll chat to you all very soon. Bye for now.